What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some big news that came out for Tesla that's very important, not to mention what the data is suggesting. But just notes that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. We deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. We deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15. Not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. The offer ends in a couple of weeks. Anyways, for Tesla, I just want to mention that Tesla did a great job at pushing today after we got some bullish news. Tesla made a big announcement about their AI roadmap, and they are basically announcing that they're going to be most likely launching FSD in Q1 of 2025 for China and Europe. So that's why we saw this very, very big pump. It's about 235. I was saying in my earlier morning video that for Tesla, we'd be watching this 230 resistance. If we got a bullish move, we'd be looking for 234. That's what my target was if we got the bullish move. The bearish move would have been us failing at 228 to start sticking down. But so far, we're holding it very, very nicely, and Tesla's showing a lot of strength. So the question is, what's coming out for the news? What's the next big catalyst for Tesla, and what's happening with this very, very big AI product roadmap that Tesla has announced? So let's talk about the roadmap before we talk about anything else. So I just want to mention that this is very, very big news that is leading to Tesla's development, and it's getting lots of investors very, very excited right now. So for September of 2024, we have some new developments coming out with FSD updates. They're basically improving their miles between necessary interventions by a long shot, and they're developing their AI3 computer, which is going to be using different metrics, different parameters, which are a lot more useful. They also came up with the actually smart summon, which is very useful for parking, and then very, very nice looking improvements to networks for highway usage. So very, very cool stuff. Also, potential Cybertruck FSD incorporation, very, very cool things too. And then for October 2024, there's going to be unpark, park, and reverse in FSD, not to mention a lot more improvements to miles between necessary interventions. And then on top of this, we also have the Robotaxi event. That's going to be very important as well for October. Then after that, we have the end of the year coming up, and then that's going to be followed by 2025 in Q1. We have FSD potentially coming out in Europe, not to mention China, and they're pending regulatory approvals. It's going to be very important, very, very big news that came out, which is part of why Tesla ended up pumping. This is what the roadmap is looking like thus far from the latest announcements. So this is what we're basically looking out for Tesla. So that's some big news. Elon Musk was talking about how their miles between interventions are just going to continue to go up higher and higher. And Musk said that with the next update that's coming out, there's going to be a very, very big increase by about 5 to 10x more miles per intervention, which I think is actually very possible for the longer term. Not 100% sure about just one specific update, but still, once again, I still agree with the big news that there's a lot of improvements being made. And I think that Tesla is going to achieve more and more miles between interventions. So that's a very, very great update for FSD. But the real update is going to come in October once we get to the Robotaxi event. That's a little bit over a month away, so I can't wait for that. But once again, guys, this is what's making all the headlines right now. Tesla's saying it's going to be launching the FSD product in Europe and China early next year. That's very, very bullish news. Can't wait to see what else Tesla gives us from then. It's also going to be very useful for them for machine learning because it's going to give them a lot more miles that they can be driving for. Anyways, going back to our data, let me just reload the page so the data shows. Sorry about that, guys. Going back to the data, we had initial jobless claims. Everything was as expected. The S&P Global Composite PMI was above expectations, showing some strength. And then the main piece of data was this. This is what caused the market to push. And then it actually dumped afterwards. So it pumped and dumps. That's part of why Tesla also followed the trend. But the PMI report was basically above expectations. Business activity was so-so. Employment was so-so, and then everything else was strong. New orders are still strong, and then so are services prices are still high. This is showing some strength in the sector, so not too bad. I would say this data was a little bit more good than bad. That's part of why SPY saw a little bit of a bounce before anything else. So now I just want to talk about some very, very important projections. As far as the market goes, we did pump very nicely, only to dip back down. That's part of why Tesla's dipping a little bit. So we're going to be looking at this previous resistance becoming support at 228 for Tesla. If that fails us, we could be returning to 225. If we hold 228, we'll be looking for a retest of 230. So watch that support at 228, and we'll see if we end up holding. Now, that's going to be very key for Tesla. We have a nice looking structure thus far, but I do want to bring your attention to this gap down here. We still have this gap to fill at 219. If we lose the 225 area, we're at risk of coming all the way down. So I just want to give you guys a heads up about that. But so far, and nonetheless, Tesla is still doing a good job at holding up. It's showing lots of strength relative to the markets, and there's a good chance it may continue this trend. Now, as far as SPY goes, I just want to mention that SPY is showing a little bit of weakness right now. We're basically dipping down lower. We're kind of losing the support around 549.5. So we're going to be looking at 548 as the next potential target. We'll see if that holds or not. 548 is going to be very, very important for SPY. If we lose the 548s, we could be dumping all the way down to 546, and eventually 543 is our target for the gap fill. So I'll be watching that very carefully. If we get bought back above 550, we could try to rebound, but so far I'm seeing some weakness developing, and this could continue to dip lower, which is still affecting Tesla. For ES, we're barely holding the support right over here around the 55.10s. If this fails, we could be looking for a dip all the way down to the 54.80s. So we'll see if that ends up being the case or not, and we'll see how well we end up holding up. So watch the 5500 to 5510 area. If that fails, this we turn bearish. If that holds, we could try to rebound for the 55.40. But so far, we're looking a little bit weaker, so we'll give it some time. For Nvda, we're range bound. I was talking about this for the last couple of days. We're just range bound. Resistance is going to be around this 108 area, followed by 110. Our support is at 104. We're just going back and forth and back and forth. So it's going to likely continue to do so, at least for the time being. For other tickers out there, we also have NQ. NQ looks range bound. We have resistance around 19,100 and we have supported 18,800. We're just stuck in the middle, going back and forth as well. If we lose 18,800, we turn bearish. And if we break 19,200, we turn bullish. So far, the Qs and the Nasdaqs are outperforming the overall markets. That's because we saw tech hold up decently, but we will see if we end up maintaining the structure. I would just say that we're just range bound for now. Same thing with the QQQ, we're just range bound. So you guys can see this range right here. Notice how we did push to the resistance at 465, which is the level I called out if 463 were to break. So we hit 460, broke past that to get to 465. There also should be a line here around 463, but nonetheless, we still held above that. And then the main support's at 458. We'll see if we hold that or not. So far, the market's trying to hold support, but we're barely holding support right now. So we'll see how things end up going. So we'll see with these levels. I think we're just going to continue to remain range bound on the QQQ. For Apple, I said there might be a counter trend move coming if we hold our 218 area, the 200 EMA. We held it, so now we're trying to rebound. So watch 223.8 as resistance, support at 222. If that fails us, we go back down. So far, so good. The Russell's looking kind of weak right now. We're failing at 212. If we don't get bought back up or close above 212, we're at risk of dumping all the way down to 208. So I want to give you guys a heads up about the Russell. I'm seeing some weakness developing, so be careful with it. For Coinbase, we're looking a little bit more bearish. We're continuing to dip right over here. We're going to be looking for 161 as our main support. If that fails us, we're looking for 155, so watch that very carefully. For Amzn, we're trying to rebound. We are looking at 178 as our resistance, not to mention 180. And our support to watch for is at 175. I think we're just range bound again, just like how we were yesterday and the day before. So I think we're just going to remain range bound between those areas, but we could dip a little bit. Meta is also kind of range bound. We have resistance basically at 515. I did mention to you guys we might be testing this range right here. We came up only to come back down. We're going to be looking at 512 as support. If that fails us, we're going back down to 506. Otherwise, we're just range bound on Meta. But some stocks are showing signs of consolidation. Microsoft has resistance at 411 and support at 406. We might just continue to shuffle, trade sideways. Same thing with Google. We pushed all the way up to about 161, but our main support's at 156. We may just continue to trade sideways as well. If we lose 156, we turn bearish, but otherwise we're just kind of stuck. So as far as Tesla in the market goes, I'm seeing some weakness developing, at least for SPY. We haven't lost critical support yet. We're still holding above 548. And as for Tesla, it's getting dragged back down. So watch 228 as our main support. And we'll see how well Tesla does there. If we don't hold that, we're looking for 225. I think Tesla will just remain in this range for now. And then the next catalyst will be the unemployment numbers for tomorrow. So I'll talk more about those in a later video. My next video, I'll talk more about that. But until then, I just want to say I thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours for another update. And peace out.